welcome back to my channel. Now you can probably tell by the title, this video is somewhat different. Recently I watched the finale of the hit TV show Suits, and what I thought, given the fact that it is a legal drama and I am a law student studying law at university, I would give my verdict on the show, talking about characters, plot lines, things like that. But do not worry, this will be mostly spoiler free. There is a time at the bottom of your screen when I will be going into spoilers. I will let you know before I do go into spoilers. You'll be warned, do not worry, but most of this video will be spoiler free. So here's a law student's verdict on the TV series Suits. So the basic premise of Suits is that you're introduced to a character, the protagonist Mike Ross, and in a way he's someone who's looking for a better life. He's been living with his grandmother and he's been completing other people's tests. You can see that he wants something different. He wants to establish himself, and he does by inadvertently being interviewed and then hired by Harvey Specter, who is one of the leading lawyers at the firm Pearson Hardman. The only problem is Mike never actually graduated with the qualified law degree that he would need in order to practice. So what Suits takes you on, it takes you on a journey, seeing this partnership develop between Harvey Specter and Mike Ross, and seeing how the fact that he never went to Harvard affects the relationships between him and the other characters. Therefore, talking about the storylines, you do of course get to see in each episode the different cases that the firm has to deal with. What the great thing about Suits is that there are additional plot lines, and of course the key plot line is Mike's journey. As the show progresses, you get to see the effect of that, and you get to see how other characters deal with the fact that Mike never went to Harvard, and you get to see how they respond to it. So you get to see Mike's journey in the firm and trying to establish himself, whilst also having to keep secret as much as he can. But you also get other plot lines as well. You get the plot line in terms of the development of the firm. You get to see how the firm goes through different challenges, and we'll talk about this more later, but one of the interesting things is noticing how many times the title on the wall, i.e. the wall that has the names of the named partners, changes throughout the entirety of the show. But what's great about Suits is that you get to see plot lines revolving around particular characters, so whether that be through flashbacks telling you about how characters met up, or how they ended up at the firm, or how they ended up in a particular situation. You get opportunities to understand the characters more, and you get opportunities to know how they take a bit, to see a different side to them. And I think that just helps to add complexity to the characters. It helps you to understand the characters, and it helps you to sympathise with them a bit, and because it gives them complexity. So yes, you have this main plot line revolving around Mike and his journey through the firm with this secret, but you also get these additional plot lines that help to build upon being a legal drama, because it's not just a legal show, it's a legal drama. In terms of the characters, I'm just going to go through some of the main characters that you're introduced with. So I mentioned Mike Ross there. Mike Ross, I enjoyed his character. He certainly goes on a journey throughout the show of Suits, trying to establish himself, trying to give himself an identity, trying to make a better life for himself to what he had before he joined what was Pearson Hardman. And he has this pretty much incredibly photographic memory. Mike is a character who has a lot of personal values. He can understand the personal side of things and the emotional side of things, as well as the complex legal side of it. And sometimes he's able to come with solutions that none of the other characters would have ever been able to think of. And what you'll enjoy about his character is seeing how he gets to progress over the seasons. But you'll also be interested in how this secret, yes, he has these opportunities at this new firm, but he doesn't have all the opportunities that you could ever want. Of course, the other character is Harvey Specter. Harvey Specter he likes to do things his own way, shall we put it like that. He is very confident. Some of the characters in the show would describe him as arrogant, but he's known in the show as to be the best closer of the firm. And so he likes to get those cases done. He likes to get things pretty much done in his own way, of his own accord. But generally he gets it done. He's able to get it done, and his character is quite interesting. And he develops over. By the end of the show, you understand a lot more of the personal side of Harvey Specter. When you're introduced to him, you probably just see him as a very, very talented lawyer. But by the end, you pretty much understand his backstory, you understand his family ties, things like that. Within this exterior of a very capable lawyer, deep beneath that is someone who's has had personal issues. And the other characters, you got Donna Paulsen, and she is just brilliant. One source of the humour in Suits is her character. She is someone who is, witty, charming, who seems to know what everyone's thinking, what everyone's doing, and always seems to be ahead of the other characters. That gives her confidence as well. She's very confident. Her role is, when we see her, is the secretary to Harvey Specter. But she's not someone who sits back and just lets things happen. She's very much at the forefront, and as the show goes on, she's more and more at the forefront. She's more and more involved, and you see how important she is. She's not just a secretary to Harvey Specter, and she's not just a member of the firm, but she's actually an integral part of of the survival of the firm even. So she has that funny side, but she also has that side where she's loyal to the firm and she does what she can. The other character, Louis Litt, he's an interesting character. There are sometimes you'll just laugh because he's just quite funny, quite eccentric, and then other times you might be put back by him because sometimes he has very emotional scenes. There are some very emotional scenes, very powerful scenes with Louis Litt, and I think that just gives him just a complex nature to him. He's quite a complex character. At first, you might say that he has an inferior complex, and what I mean by that is he's someone who works hard, he puts the hours in, but he doesn't quite understand why Harvey Specter, who in his view doesn't necessarily do as much as him, is able to advance ahead of him, and even when Harvey Specter gets things wrong, he seems, in Louis Litt's view, to get away with it. And so you see this interesting relationship between Louis Litt and Harvey Specter. Sometimes it's confrontational, sometimes it's humorous. By the end, it changes, and as the show goes on, you understand where he's coming from. You understand that he is someone who's looking for an identity. He's looking to establish himself, and he's looking just to be appreciated, recognised, and respected. And he's just overall he's just a funny character. There's some very funny scenes. Other characters, you've got Rachel Zane. She's a really good character. She's someone who's sensitive to the needs of her friends, and she looks out for them. She's loyal to characters like Lewis and Mike, and you just get to see her again trying to establish herself as well. The character Rachel Zane is the daughter of Robert Zane, who is a prominent lawyer of another firm, and so she's trying to establish herself. But as the show develops, she develops as well to be more and more important to the firm and trying to establish an identity and a path for her. And then the final main character is my favourite, and that is Jessica Pearson. She is just a no-nonsense kind of person. She wants to get things done. She hasn't got time for silly mistakes or anything like that. She wants to get results. She wants things done. She wants things done the way that's going to benefit the firm. She is determined. She is just confident. You see throughout the show that she's always fighting for something. So you see her go through a lot of battles through the show, and you see her character develop. You might think at some points that all that there is to Jessica Pearson is someone who's just interested in her work and who's interested in her job and the firm. But actually, through flashbacks and through scenes, you get to understand that Jessica Pearson, while she is a powerful figure and the managing partner of what is initially Pearson Hardman, you get to see a softer side to her, and you get to see who she is. You get to see the journey that she goes on. Eventually, of course, she makes some very big decisions. When she makes those big decisions, you then really get to see actually there is a different side to her. So she's a fantastic character, and overall the characters are really enjoyable. Sometimes you'll be emotional for them, sometimes you'll be shocked by them, sometimes you'll be laughing with them. I think that just goes to how well they're performed by the actors and the actresses. They're just fantastic characters. In terms of the tone, I think they do well with it. There are scenes that are emotional, there are scenes that are funny, like I've mentioned, there are scenes that are quite upsetting. There are scenes, where you are shocked and taken back. The way they do it is it's balanced out. They use the music really well to help improve that tone, and I think they just make the tone appropriate to what you're looking at. It is a really engaging show, and I did find it really engaging, and I think that did help by the tone. In terms of themes, I think what really attracted me to the show, and what really kept me sustained with the show, and what I've loved about the show is some of the themes that it presents. And one of them is family, friendship and loyalty. What you get to see is the characters stick by each other. They face difficult challenges that threaten to separate them, and you see situations where they are, they fall out with each other. Yes, they might argue, but at the end of the day, they are by each other's side, and they'll do what they can. If that means changing their whole life, if that means making those big decisions, then they'll do that because it's the best thing for their friends. And so I really love that, and I think that just helps to make the show relatable. Certainly I found it very relatable, and like seeing the friendship and the loyalty, which is brilliant, and it helps to create that emotion as well when you get those difficult moments for some of the characters. And I think one of the other themes is identity. I think all of the characters in a way are trying to find their identity. You get to see what they're like when you first see them, but over time you see them trying to establish themselves, whether that be establishing a presence at the firm, or wanting to be recognised, or just wanting to have something that's right for them, having that freedom to decide what they want to do. All of them, by the end of the show, they're all find closure. They're all able to find some path that works for them, the path that they were always in a way destined to be on. In terms of the law side of things, now I'm not familiar with US law, and I'll be honest, there are some moments that you might be a bit confused by the law and not understanding what's quite going on. But to be honest, the way they balance the law with the other plot lines, the character plot lines, the main plot line around Mike, they do quite well. There's a good balance between it. That helps you to get into the show without being bogged down by all the legal jargon and all of the legal cases that they deal with, and I think that just helps the show to be accessible and interesting. You do get to see, of course, the negotiation, the court cases, but overall it's a very much an interesting show. And I think it's very much, yes, I want to see the legal side of it, but you get to see the drama aspect of it through the development of the characters. So my overall thoughts, my overall spoiler-free thoughts of the show is that it is a really brilliant show. It's something that might take time for some of you to get into, but I definitely recommend sticking with it, because what you'll find is something that's established in one season crops up again in a later season. It feels connected, and the characters feel grounded, feel relatable, very much interesting, and I definitely recommend it. I'm now heading into spoiler territory, so do be warned. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now into the spoiler section. So talking about some specific plot lines, of course, I mentioned Mike's secret, and what you find is that it has some repercussions. So first of all, obviously Harvey's aware of it, and then Jessica becomes aware of it. And you think, oh, well, because she's the managing partner, that's it. Actually, it isn't, because at that time, Daniel Hardman, who was the other half of Pearson Hardman, comes back, and so Mike ends up having to stay, and certainly he helps to finally get rid of Hardman, or what they think is the final time that they'll have to get rid of Hardman. But then it comes up again, so when Lewis Litt finds out about Mike, after having some suspicions, he, at that point in season 4, is down the dumps. He had to leave the firm. He's been trying to find work, trying to find clients, and he's not getting anywhere. But when he finds out this, he does use it to his advantage in a way that allows him to become the partner at what then becomes Pearson Spector Litt. And then season 5, Mike's on trial and eventually is sent to prison, and then Mike eventually gets out, and he wants to apply through the bar. He wants to actually go through the process, but one of the panelists who are reviewing him doesn't want that to happen. But what, again, and I talked about this with the loyalty that the characters have to each other, Jessica Pearson comes in and is willing to have herself disbarred in order for Mike to be allowed the opportunity to become a fully qualified lawyer. So you see how this basic plot line around Mike's secret affects all of the characters. And one of the interesting thing, of course, is the plot around the firm, and that is represented by the names on the wall, the names of the named partners, and it's a symbol of the difficulties, the challenges, and all that the firm goes through in all 9 seasons. So you get to see the development of the firm, and the lovely thing is, of course, this is a spoiler for the finale, so if you haven't seen the finale, go and watch it. And they put in a rule to say that they're not going to change the names on the wall for another 5 years, which is obviously a reference to the fact that the name has changed so many times throughout the series, and I think it's to represent stability. And then of course you've got the character plots. So you start with obviously Mike, who's looking for a better life, and by the end of it, when he and Rachel, who do get together, decide to go off and start something of their own in Seattle, you see him finding his own place. By the end, when obviously the secret's out, he's gone through it, he's able to establish himself, he's able to go out and plot a course for him, and that goes for all the other characters. Lewis Litt eventually meets someone, Sheila. They start meeting in season, I think it's about season 2, where she's there to assess the associates and how they think of Lewis Litt, because he manages the associates, and then eventually they do form a relationship, and that does help to add that complexity that Lewis Litt's character has. You see him go attending therapy sessions, and then he becomes a father, and that just adds to his character and gives him definitely a more personal side to his character, and I think that helps to find him to be such a relatable character. And then of course, like I mentioned, you've got Jessica, who eventually decides to step down as managing partner in season 6, and then she moves to Chicago to start off a new life there, and to also be with her family as well. And then also you've got Harvey and Donna, who and it's teased throughout the show to the pretty much the end of season 8, when they finally do get together, and the dynamic between them is just fantastic and comical. But again, I think that helps to give a personal side to Harvey, you get a more relatable side to him, and eventually, and this is a season 9 finale spoiler again, they do go off to Seattle to join Mike and Rachel, and I think that the point to that is they found something that works for them. That Harvey's in a situation where he can be with someone who he considers a great friend, and to be with the person he loves. So overall thoughts on Suits: it is a fantastic show, definitely recommend watching it. I watched it on Amazon Prime. Obviously I couldn't talk about everything here, and there was so much that I could talk about. If you want me to do other shows, I know there's shows like The Good Wife that I could review, let me know in the comment section below. But if you have enjoyed this, don't forget to give it a like, don't forget to share the video, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, subscribe to the channel by clicking the bottom right hand corner, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.